Before I begin, I need to ask you for something. If you believe stories like this matter, stories that are messy, uncomfortable, and deeply real, please subscribe to my channel, like this video, and stay with me until the end. What I'm about to share isn't created for drama. It isn't exaggerated to shock you. It's real. This story includes heavy emotional themes, broken boundaries, manipulation, emotional control, and betrayal within a family. If those topics are difficult for you, it's okay to step away. I understand. But if you stay, know this. This is my story. It's raw. It's honest. And even now, years later, it still hurts to speak about. I was 26 years old when I moved back into my childhood home. Not because I wanted to. Not because it felt hopeful. I went back because my life had fallen apart so completely that I didn't know where else to go. 2 months before my wedding, everything ended. His name was Ethan. We had been together for 4 years. For long years of building something that felt stable, familiar, and safe. We were engaged. Wedding invitations were already written. The venue was booked. My dress hung quietly in the closet, waiting. Then one night, it all disappeared. Ethan sat across from me on the couch, elbows resting on his knees, hands tightly clasped. His jaw was tense. His eyes wouldn't meet mine. Before he even spoke, I felt it. Something was wrong. "I don't trust you anymore," he said. The words didn't make sense. They landed strangely, like a sentence missing its beginning. I asked him what he meant. He didn't accuse me of cheating. He didn't say he caught me lying. He had no proof of anything. Instead, he said something worse. "Something just feels off." That was it. That was his reason. Then came the questions that didn't connect to reality. Why was I quiet some nights? Why did I hesitate before answering certain things? Why did I seem distant even when I was right beside him? I tried everything to reassure him. I showed him my phone. I explained my daily routines. I broke down every moment of my life for him. I talked until my throat burned and my voice cracked. But suspicion doesn't need evidence. It survives on imagination. He reread old messages, searching for meanings that weren't there. He turned pauses into guilt. Silence into confession. No matter what I said, it was never enough. Eventually, he packed his bags. Just like that. The future I thought I was walking toward vanished overnight, leaving me alone in a quiet apartment that suddenly felt too large for one person. So I went back to the only place that still felt familiar. Home. My childhood house hadn't changed much. Same creaky stairs. Same faded wallpaper. Same air that smelled faintly of old books and furniture polish. My mother owned a small antique restoration shop. She was quiet, careful, observant. She could repair broken chairs and cracked mirrors, but she never believed people could be fixed the same way. My father was the opposite. He was loud. Charismatic. The kind of man who could turn strangers into friends within minutes. He laughed loudly, told stories dramatically, hugged everyone. People loved him. Growing up, everyone said I was his favorite. Neighbors said it. Relatives said it. Even my mother admitted it once, laughing like it was harmless. My father used to call me his miracle. His anchor. His reason. As a child, those words felt special. As an adult, they began to feel heavy. Moving back home should have been comforting. Instead, it felt wrong. My father started hovering around me constantly. Not casually. Not naturally. Intensely. He wanted to know where I was going, who I talked to, how I felt, every detail. When he hugged me, his arms stayed wrapped around me too long. When he looked at me, it felt like he was seeing more than just his daughter. There was nothing obvious. Nothing I could point to and say, this is wrong. Just a feeling. The kind that makes your skin crawl for no clear reason. I told myself I was imagining it. My engagement had collapsed. Of course I was sensitive. Of course I was overthinking. Meanwhile, my mother began pulling away. She worked longer hours. She went to bed early. She avoided being in the same room with both of us. At the time, I thought she was giving me space. Now I realize she was protecting herself. My father started knocking on my bedroom door late at night. Always gentle. Always polite. He brought tea. He sat on the edge of my bed. He asked how I was coping after Ethan. Sometimes I cried. Sometimes I couldn't stop. He would take my hand and tell me everything would be okay. That I was special. That anyone would be lucky to have me. Then came the comments that made my stomach twist. If I were younger, he said once, smiling, I'd never let someone like you go. Another time he laughed and said Ethan must be crazy to walk away from me. I laughed too. Because what else do you do when discomfort hides behind affection? I didn't recognize the warning signs. I didn't realize how blurred the boundaries already were. When I was little, he used to read to me in the backyard. He'd sit me on his lap and replace every character's name with mine. The hero was me. The victim was me. Even the villain somehow became me. Back then, it felt like love. Now it feels like something else entirely. Memory changes when you finally allow yourself to see clearly. I must have been around 12 when it started making sense. I came downstairs wearing a new shirt I picked out with my mom. Nothing revealing, just something that made me feel confident. My father looked me over and said, "That's a bit much." Then joked about boys being distracted at school. My mother said nothing. She kept cooking. That silence became familiar. By high school, he had opinions about every boy I spoke to. When a classmate came to pick me up for a dance, my father shook his hand too hard and stared too long. Afterward, he warned me that boys only wanted one thing. That I was too valuable to waste. At the time, I thought it was protection. Now I know it was control. After Ethan left, I started journaling. Not for healing. For survival. Every time I wrote about my broken relationship, I somehow ended up writing about my father. The similarities terrified me. Jealousy disguised as care. Attention masked as protection. Love that demanded something in return. That's when I decided to see a therapist. During one session, she asked me something that stopped me cold. What does your father's love feel like? Not what it looks like. What it feels like. I sat there silently. Then I said, safe, but heavy. Like I owe him something. She nodded. That doesn't sound like love, she said softly. It sounds like emotional imprisonment. That word cracked something open inside me. I didn't leave that night. I wish I had. Fear doesn't always look like running. Sometimes it looks like staying still and hoping danger passes. I lay awake until morning. Every sound felt loud. Floorboards creaking. Refrigerator humming. My own shallow breathing. At breakfast, my father acted normal. He joked. He poured coffee. He asked if I wanted eggs. That scared me more than anger ever could. My mother sat quietly, staring at her plate. She didn't look at me once. After he left for work, I followed her into the kitchen. "Mom," I said. "We need to talk." She froze. "I'm not imagining this," I told her. "Something is wrong. And you know it." She turned slowly. Then she cried. Not quietly. She broke. "I tried to protect you," she sobbed. "I thought if I stayed quiet, it wouldn't get worse." "Protect me from what?" I already knew. "He's always been like this," she whispered. "With control. With needing to be needed." I asked why she never stopped him. She said she was afraid. Every time she tried, he made her feel jealous, ungrateful, crazy. Then she said something that shattered me. "I thought as long as he never touched you, it wasn't real." Suddenly everything made sense. Her distance. Her silence. It wasn't ignorance. It was survival. That afternoon I called my therapist and told her everything. She listened carefully. Then she said, "Intent matters. But impact matters more. And what you experienced was real." That night I told my father I was leaving. He laughed at first. Then he realized I meant it. "You're overreacting," he said. "Your therapist is putting ideas in your head." "No," I replied calmly. "You did that yourself." His face hardened. "You owe me," he said. "I don't." For the first time in my life, I didn't feel small saying it. I moved out the next day. I stayed with a friend. Then I found a small apartment. It wasn't perfect. It didn't feel safe immediately. But it was mine. I cut contact with my father. Eventually, my mother left him too. Not right away. Healing doesn't follow deadlines. But she left. Here's what I learned. Love does not feel heavy. Love does not demand silence. Love does not make you shrink. I didn't lose my fiancé because I was unlovable. I didn't misunderstand my childhood. I woke up. And waking up hurts. But it's also freedom. If you're watching this and something feels familiar, if a relationship in your life feels confusing, heavy, or wrong in a way you can't explain, trust that feeling. Your body understands before your mind does. And you don't owe anyone access to you just because they call it love.